So cool to be here. Every time I hear about the hookup dinner, it's just mind-blowing. Like, someone will tell me the first hookup dinner ever, they'll be like, you know, we were in Brown, there was 3 people, there was donuts, and now look at this, and it's just mind-blowing to see what these guys have done. So, just a quick round of applause for Lebo and the team and what they've done. It's actually showing what it is to be young and entrepreneurial and actually make it happen. So that was such a glowing introduction. First of all, I was embarrassed because he was like, Kali wrote this, so basically it didn't matter. And second of all, is that it sounded great, but I want to talk as an entrepreneur, particularly from the space of when things get really hard in your business. When I hear customer development as an entrepreneur, what I'm hearing is a check, right? I'm hearing, is it possible for me to get a check? Customer development has a bunch of definitions and different things you can do with it. When you're an entrepreneur, what really matters is, right now I have no money, I need money, what do I do? And what I'm hoping for you out of this is that you go, my ideas matter. That's really it. If there was one takeaway from here, it would be that your ideas matter. They really genuinely matter for your bottom line, for your life, for your company, for the people you're hiring. And that's the big takeout. So I'm going to start with a few stories. So again, this is from the perspective of things are really hard, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going for it, but it's really hard and I don't know what to do, and now I need to come out and do something because I need a new customer to get a check. So I'll start with a few stories. My first one is, I think I was 21 years old, and I had this magazine that we started, it had been doing well, we got to 10,000 copies, and then it just tanked. I remember I was sitting in a room much like this, and we had an edition coming out. And our main sponsor, we were supposed to go to print on the Friday, and I get a call on Thursday at 5 p.m. from our main sponsor, who at the time was sponsoring us like 100,000 Rand an edition. And at 5 o'clock he says, we're out. We're not doing this, we're no longer part of this vision. And right there I'm looking at my team, so I'm on the cell phone, I put my phone down, I'm looking at my team of 10. We're literally having a party because we're about to do the edition the next day. And we're all excited and I can't wait to get the edition. And I've just heard this thing. And so I get that sinking feeling that you'll often have as an entrepreneur. You're like, first of all, it's damn lonely. You're like, I'm the only one who knows that shit's real. Second of all, I feel like we need to ideate out of this. I don't know what next to do. And that sense of doom comes over and over again, time after time, if you're going to be a serial entrepreneur. And so what ended up happening was I was failing my driver's test for the 4th time. Don't react to it. That's what you choose to react on. It was the 4th time, and I'm thinking, I cannot be the only one going through this. I can't be the only one who thinks, who failed, by the way, more than 3 times? I'm going to do this if I'm the only one here. So it's my 4th time. My legs are shaking because, you know, you're on that clutch, and you can see that little thing behind you. And I know I'm going to bump it, and I actually end up bumping it. And you look at your instructor, you really hope that he didn't notice, or he's going to be kind, and he's like, fail. And as he says fail, like the immediate thought that came to mind was, cell phones. Cell phones. If someone could teach me how to drive on a cell phone, I'm telling you, there's got to be a way to be able to teach people how to do these tests. And so the idea was, can we record how to, whatever they are, 3-point turn, and parallel park, and incline steep, can we animate that, put it on a video? This is in 2007, and put it on all these phones. And what if it works? What if people go, hold on, I can learn how to pass my driving test on my phone? And that was literally the idea, that was it. And then we decided it would also be cool to be able to put learner's tests on the phones, that people knew how to pass their drivers on their phone. And so the first thing about customer development when you're in a tough spot is taking ideas seriously. Because of the buzz of entrepreneurship, you're always looking for the next cash flow thing, the next thing to get out of, the next problem, the next team drama. And just taking time to actually ideate is a big deal. So I took 2 to 3 months to think about this. Who would want this? How do we pay for it? What do you do? Eventually I got a department in government to agree to sponsor it. And again, I was excited. It was like, it was Arrive Alive, and they said, we love the idea, we can teach people how to drive, let's go. I just realized I said the name. The point is though, they didn't end up paying the damn thing, that great sponsor. And so, again, it was about, here's this idea that we've deliberately thought about, and how are we going to find a customer to match it? So I'm at church, purely because there's this girl who said, if you come to church that night, I'll be there, we go out later. And while I'm there, it turns out to be this guy talking about entrepreneurship. And, so the Church of Men takes entrepreneurship seriously, and at the time there was this guy talking about entrepreneurship. And as he talks, he goes, is anyone in a frustrating place? And like most South African raised entrepreneurs, I was initially so cagey about my idea. I'm like, I've got this cool idea, but if I tell them, he said, what if they steal it? I'm like, what does it look like if I just expose them? I'm going to teach people how to drive on phones. And so I decided I'm going to tell them anyway. I'm like, I hate Survive Alive. They told us that they're going to spot, and I just blurt out, like just out of venting how frustrated I am. And the thing ends, and his wife, or someone's wife, runs up to me and says, you have to meet my husband. And then she comes again, she's like, you have to meet my husband. And the third time, you have to meet my husband. The fourth time, she's like, you are coming with me to meet my husband. She drags me to this guy, and he's the CEO of McCarthy. And so, now having heard the idea, he's like, I think we could be customers for this. Bear in mind, I've just fired 10 people, we don't know what we're doing. All we know is that for the last 2 months, we've been ideating, trying to figure out how to make this idea perfect. He says, come pitch to me on Tuesday. By the way, I love this pitching environment. Getting good at pitching is, if I had one skill as an entrepreneur, it would be to be able to pitch anything at any time. Because that skill literally can change the whole trajectory of your business. So it comes Tuesday, you've got to come pitch to me. All I had was this PowerPoint. And I said, you're trying to sell cars to first-time car buyers. First-time car buyers right now are trying to do their learners and drivers. Please sponsor this. That was pretty much the entirety of the pitch. He said, how much? I literally made up the number on the spot. I said 625,000 rand. And he said, deal. That was it. We never made anything close to 600. I literally, I immediately giggled. I could not believe that you agreed to this. We now have 600,000 rand in our account. We're now on mobile, teaching people how to drive, brought to you by McCarthy. And I could not believe that it had happened. But, lesson number one, I guess, is when in trouble, ideate. Your ideas matter. We're in a digital age. What you're exposed to is the same thing some guy at Harvard is exposed to, right? We're in a place where your ideas matter more than ever. You all have Facebook and Twitter and Mixit and things that you can test your ideas on. So we put that idea on Mixit and we said, guys, brought to you by McCarthy, you can now learn how to drive on your phone. On the Friday I leave, on the Monday I come back and we've got 70,000 subscribers. On the Wednesday we have 150,000 subscribers. On the Friday we have 500,000 subscribers. Now we're getting called because it's the first time there's driving school things on the phone, and all of a sudden we are the mobile guys. When actually we are just the guys with a failed magazine company. But the power of ideas and customer development is that if you're serious about ideating and finding the customers that like the idea you have, it's real. It's a real thing. That got us out of that first mess. I'm going to tell you 2 more stories because that was a cool story, but 2 years later we're in a mess again. So, eventually we began to rinse and repeat that, so we did lots of mobile campaigns across Africa, and that was great. And eventually, we get what we thought was the deal of a lifetime. A company across, I'll keep names back now, but a company across Africa comes to us and they say, you're doing all this cool stuff on mobile, it would be fantastic to be able to partner. We've got an eventing company that works in 13 different African countries, and you guys can be our mobile partner. And they make an offer to buy us, and I'm uncomfortable because part of it is I've got to work there 3 years. And eventually my business partner and I say, no, we're not going to do it. And they then come back and say, okay, what if we make an offer where you don't have to be bought by us, but you become our digital arm and we fund you? And so they sign a deal where they pay our entire salaries for all our team every month, as long as we say we're their digital team. And for 1.5 years, it's amazing. We're traveling to Kenya and Nigeria and Tanzania and all these amazing places doing cool things on mobile. And our contract had said that the CEO was going to try and figure out how to get the board to fund this, but in the meantime, she's going to use her own budget. And so we're flying around, and I land at Geneva, and all excited that I'm still traveling, and things are cool, and we're young, but we're figuring this out, and me and my business partner are finding a place where we know where our salaries are coming from for the next year. And my email says, sorry, Kali, board rejected it, contract cancelled in 30 days. And again, that sinking feeling of, 2 seconds ago on that flight, I was my favorite entrepreneur. And right now, our business means nothing. It's completely shattered. And we go through the process of the game, having to deal with the reality of entrepreneurship. And it's cool to be able to have a glamorous intro, but in between that are real tough stories and real tough times when you're trying to figure out, who you are you doing the right thing? Is the team on the right path? What are you going to do cash flow-wise? What's the next thing? And all I knew was that the next thing had to be a cool idea. It had to come from your head, or at least from the people around me. And so having dealt with this company across Africa with brands, we thought, imagine if every time a brand knew that you were watching their ad, you got paid. It came from, conversation and meeting people, and, it's really tough to figure out where ideas come from, but often they mature over time, right? You add this thing and you figure that out, and you're adding the puzzle pieces together, and eventually you go, maybe this could work. And so the idea came to mind around a thing called see, say, do. What if every time I see an ad, I get paid? What if every time I say something about an ad, I get paid? What if every time I do something about an ad, I get paid? And what the brand would get in return is that they would know that Nebo has just seen the entire ad. This is exactly what he has to say about it right now. And this is what he has to do about it, whether it's do share or do buy or, do join the gym. And that was the idea. That was the big idea. And again, it became about spending a few months nurturing that idea and figuring out, does it work? Is it the right thing? Have I pitched it correctly? And nailing the pitch. And so after speaking to about 10, 11, 12 South African banks, I don't know how many initial angel investors, everyone had said, no, we don't quite get it, how's it going to work? It's going to take so long to explain this to people. Who's going to say watch ads and get paid and think you're not a scam? And so time after time, just getting tons of no's. And eventually, I'm actually at a coffee shop, and I think about this guy who I'd met when I was doing like a gig overseas, and I go, I bet you he knows overseas investors. What if he thinks this is a good idea? What if he can introduce me to people? So I pick up the phone, and again, nailing your pitch, he goes, Carly, what do you want? And I'm like, Don, we're gonna change the world. People are gonna get paid for watching ads. When have you ever heard about getting paid to watch an ad? And the brand will know they've actually watched the entire ad. And he goes, his words were, how much do you need? And now I'd learned picking your favorite number thing. So I was like, $100,000. And I just threw it out there. And he said yes. And he wired the money for 1% of the company. That story doesn't happen. I don't expect it to happen again. I'm glad it happened to me. I don't think you should go after that, because I don't think it will happen. But it happened. But if there's a take-up from that story, it's that ideas actually genuinely do matter. I was doing that because I was bored, we weren't quite sure where the company was, we needed to figure out a cool thing, and using your experience, you begin to connect the dots, and your ideas become better and better. And again, your pitch has to be good. You have to be able to get out there and say what it is you want. Just a quick side note, by the way, I heard the rule here around, we all have to be nice to each other, and I get it. I think it's really cool, because then you can come up and pitch, and you can say whatever you want and know you won't get attacked. And that's key. Seriously, I've learned that an idea can die because you tell the wrong person too soon, and they just attack it, and it's horrible. But while I was overseas, I went to this thing in New York where you would go up, so there'd be like this size crowd, and it was a pitch contest. And so there'd be 600 people, and you'd go up, and the crowd would literally boo you if your idea sucked. So it wasn't like it was like a boo. Like you get booed off stage. What I noticed was, maybe partly because of that pressure, that the pitches were incredible. When Lewis says, figure out your elevator pitch in 30 to 45 seconds, I can still remember those 20 pitches. I can still remember what it is they said. I remember some guy being like, your WhatsApp, imagine you can get your WhatsApp messages in your favorite celebrity voice. He clicks play, he clicks Barack Obama, he sends a WhatsApp, and the WhatsApp reads itself in Barack Obama's voice. That was his pitch in 30 seconds. I don't know how that makes money, I don't know, whatever. But I remember how he pitched. I remember a guy going, in New York, it's so hard to know where you're going to go, what you're going to do. And so stop thinking, we're going to do that for you. Every Friday, we pick a pub, we say to them, we're going to bring the 10,000 people that are on our email list. We're going to make sure that all of those people know it's your pub. I just want 10% of the drinks. That was his pitch, but I still remember that. And to get your pitch right is everything. And if there's one thing that I would say that a place like America does better than us, is that they're so confident about their pitch. It's a stupid WhatsApp idea with a dumb voice. But he says it like it will change your life. And the amount of ideas I hear from South Africans that are incredible. But I said like, and then maybe if you add, and it's just like, and he's talking for half an hour, I don't know what he means, I don't know how he's going to make money, I don't know how much money he needs, and it's just a bad pitch on a brilliant product. We have to get confident with our pitching. We have to be able to nail that. Because if ideas matter, they only matter so much as you can convey them. They only matter so much as long as the right person hearing it goes, that's my guy, that's what I'm going to do. And so the story was cool. We go, his condition was, I'll only give you the money if you come to New York. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So we went there for a year. It was amazing. We did research. Eventually DSTV agreed to launch CSAD with us in South Africa. Another quick detour, because I feel like this is my pet hate. So, again, back to South Africans and how we're afraid of sharing our idea. So the thing about my small little African mind in a place like New York was I was like, how crazy free are these guys with their ideas? Like I'd literally meet someone at coffee and you'd be like, oh, this is my idea, and it would be mind-blowing. And I was like, aren't you worried I'll steal it or tell someone? And you could see he did not care. Because the ethos was, if you beat me to my own idea, you should win. It's about execution. If I've got a great idea, I need to execute it. I didn't hear the words NDA, I didn't hear all of that stuff. Like I'd go to a meeting and be like, I'm going to tell you about CSAD, but can I fax my NDA? And I'd literally get questions like, what does NDA stand for? And then I came back here, and MultiChoice had said that, so many people pitch at NASPers, right? So they'll be like, oh, we've got this idea, and then 6 years later, NASPers will launch the decoder. And some guy will be like, yeah, but 6 years ago, I said that you guys should do the decoder, and you'll see them. And so what they ended up doing was creating the opposite of an NDA, which literally means you're about to pitch to us, and if you see that idea implemented by us, so you've got to sign that away. And so that's a condition MultiChoice gives me. They say, listen, we see the CSAD video you've given. If you want to come pitch here, you have to sign this document saying, basically, we can steal your idea. And for 3 weeks, I was like, I can't sign. I spoke to my parents, my team, like everyone talking about it. And every staff was like, dude, you can't sign. You cannot sign that. But eventually we were desperate. We'd run out of the $100,000. We needed to launch in a country. And what was I going to do? So I signed this thing. And that was the best decision of my life. For you to get customers, for you to get ideas going, you actually have to share them. I'm going to go, hey, how about we start an ice cream shop? And you go, how about we make that ice cream shop mobile? And you go, yes, an ice cream shop, we're on the phone, you can change the flavors. And you go, how about an ice cream shop on the flavors, but you can get it delivered to you? That idea has grown because it's been shared, it's been expressed. And the customer at the end of that goes, this is a great idea. That first one, but the one that's been shared and developed is more likely to get the customers that you're after. And so I signed this thing, and they eventually agreed to invest in us, which was a savior. Third story. So, sorry, the first lesson here around customer development is that ideas matter, right? Take time to actually ideate, particularly in a tough spot. It's easy to go, I need to meet my lawyers, I need to meet the accountant, I need to regroup, but are you making time to ideate out of it? To find a customer that could find this new idea appealing in a way that they're actually willing to pay for. The second thing is that be open with your ideas, share them, get feedback, show potential customers, show your friends, show your co-founders, show people you think will steal it. They probably aren't. Because to steal an idea, they have to have your passion, they have to have your resource, they have to have your time, they have to have your energy, they have to build their own team, they have to do all that stuff anyway. So the second thing around customer development in a tough time is to share your idea. And the third thing I want to say is, what if your idea can be as simple as, let's do the exact same thing for a different customer. So CSAD goes on, we launch, we're talking to eventually 40,000 people, they're sharing ads, but we're just struggling to be able to monetize the business at the time. How do we actually get big brands to spend big budgets on it? And again, as a result of a tough time, we go, well, what if we just come up with another idea where we use what we have, but we sell it to a different customer? my business partner at the back there, Mark, 2011, he meets this a mining company. And they say to him, we're trying to figure out ways to be able to educate our staff and whatever, and nothing really happens. But the opportunity comes up again, and we go, hold on, what if a miner is underground and he can see, let's say, a safety video in his language, and immediately get airtime, data, cash for that? What if he can say, this is what I understand the safety video to be about, and immediately get paid for that? What if he can do whatever the business critical action is and immediately get paid for that? And that was the idea, that was it. And so we pitched to one of the big mines. At the first meeting, they say yes. At the second meeting, they're signing off our pilot. By the third phone call, they've increased our budget from, when you give like 3 options, but you really hope they go for the big one. And so we've given like the low option, because we thought they'd probably say yes to that, and then the middle one, and then the big one. And the low one, they're like, yes. Then they call back, like, actually, can we go for the big one? And that was our pilot. And as of last week, that deal is now a 3-year deal that establishes our business and, firmly puts us in the mining industry, Peru and Ghana and South Africa and Australia. Because what if you can do the exact same thing for a different customer? The exact same thing you're doing. What if you're a car wash and right now you're outside, but you could be a car wash for the building? Hey, car wash things, just an example that came off the top of my head, I'm sorry I said it. But what if you could do the exact same thing for a completely different partner, for a different customer? Part of ideating and finding customers in a tough time is going, if I don't spend anything, but I do what I'm doing now for someone different, will it make a difference? And the last thing about ideating in tough times is go for the big checks. It's easy to feel like you're in a tough spot, and so you need to run around and get the small deals, and get that guy to sign up, and get that guy to sign up. What we found is that it's just as hard to get a 10 million rand deal as a 10,000 rand deal. It's just as many emails, it's just the same pitch, it's just as many PowerPoint presentations, it's just as many meetings. You might as well go for the big thing that could really save you. If you're going and spending all that time having thought about the idea, having tweaked it, having thought who would want to buy it, having thought, can I do the same thing for a different customer? And you're doing all of that for a 2,000 rand check, is it worth it? So maybe your idea is bold enough that you can ask for a big check. It would be better to meet 50 people with a 1 million rand potential check and get one, right? Than meet 50 people that all say yes to 10,000 rand deal. It just, when you're in a tough time, you need to be saving your energy, you need to be saving your time. And that idea you come up with, find the highest possible bidder and go for that. Pitch perfectly and go for that big, massive deal. Because that's the thing that catalyzes you out of a tough time. And so I want to end with what I started with around entrepreneurship is hard. It's amazing, it feels like, when you're in it, it feels like it's your calling, right? You just can't imagine doing anything else. What that means, it being hard, is that periodically you go through a stage where you don't know when the next check is coming. And your instinct is to panic. And if you can just pause and go, let me use this brain of mine. We live in a digital world. Africa is as connected to anywhere as anywhere else. Expose yourself to those ideas. What ideas are working in China that you could copy here? What ideas have a local context that a big sponsor could pay for? But really prioritize ideating. Because those ideas aren't just brainstorming while you're running or in the shower. Those ideas actually matter. And you're in a place in the country where, I was reading Inc. magazine's top 20 cities for an entrepreneur to live in. And there, at number 19, was Johannesburg. Right up there with New York and Hong Kong and all these places was Johannesburg. And one of the things that stood out about that was that they were saying access to funding. And I was reading that, I was trying to understand, because I was like, I didn't get access to funding. And I was reading the article again, and then I realized what they're talking about. And particularly to this audience, you live on the only country on planet Earth where people are mandated to fund your idea or to spend on your idea as part of their spend because you're young and bright and black. There is no other country on planet Earth that does that for you. And to let that opportunity slip because you aren't aware of it, because your ideas don't matter enough to be able to just go see the 50 ED people you can Google, that's not entrepreneurial, that's reckless. We're living in a space where, we don't know how long that will last, Well, your ideas matter so much anyway. But on top of that, you live in the only country on planet Earth where people have to spend a percentage of their money on your ideas. That's crazy. I can't think of another place where that's possible. And so to let that opportunity slide, and to not treat your ideas with the respect they deserve, and to not think about that when you're in a tough space, is a waste. It's an incredibly wasted opportunity. And so, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope that has been somewhat helpful, and I hope that with your next customer, you give them an idea that you pitch well, that you spend time on, and that you ask for that big check. That you say, I want that big check. And hopefully they say yes.